Where I come from, they used to call me 47. Once, I was told that's not a name. Then I said, so make it one. My client wanted to make sure that was the last thing you saw before starting episode 59 of Irrelevant Interviews online. Targets acquired. How's it going? Let me see if I can raise the volume. I can barely hear you. All right. I always start by asking, how many of you have previously been interrogated by me?
I wasn't.
This is my first time.
Only Samuel. Geekmania is here for Despina.
And the rest of it is in Cypriot language, meaning I had some trouble, but I found the way to be here. Hi, Evangelos.
Okay, I don't know how to pronounce that, so I'm not gonna risk it. If I... Oh, we lost Samuel. And he's back.
I pressed the back button by accident.
Boomers forever. Just by reading it, I would have said Koutsa Starava Ivra Katori. Takori.
Very good.
All right.
Kutsastra
All right. I wasn't that lost.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got traumatized by the Danish language in which you read one thing and hear a completely different story.
Yeah, I think with Greek is more or less the way you read it, it's the way it sounds.
Very nice. Recently, I received a piece of feedback because usually I start by saying that I'm bad at introductions, so we're gonna get to know each other as we go. But recently, I've been letting each of my guests to introduce yourselves as in any way you want. The only thing I'm gonna ask is how long have you been attending to cosplay-related events? We may start in the screen order, so let's get started with Project Hater.
Oh, okay. So hello everyone. So yeah, in like cosplay scene, more as a cosplayer, I'm from like 2021. Just after like the big lockdowns ended, I started participating as a cosplayer. But some years before, like 2017 and stuff like that, I was volunteering at cosplay conventions, just like getting to know how they're operating from the inside. And yeah, as a cosplayer from 21, and yeah.
What's your favorite cosplay?
Oh, definitely my guts armor. Like when I just started making, like my first ever armor was guts armor, and I would just kept upgrading it. So I upgraded it now to the box that is completely disassembled. That's still my favorite thing. In a corner there is one Dragon Slayer, and at the other side of the room there's second Dragon Slayer. I love big weapons.
Let's continue with Shinzo.
So I've started cosplaying like in the 2011, but I started competing only at 2022. I had a big gap of not cosplaying at all because of the studies, living abroad. I actually lived in Cyprus.
Ooh. Wow, that was unexpected.
Yes, and I was studying there also. So therefore the gap. So yeah, an active cosplayer like for 3 years, but overall 14 years of cosplaying.
Yeah, this gathering wasn't planned. I had no idea you were in Cyprus.
It was in like 2016, I guess, if I'm not mistaken.
Let's go on with Samuel.
I hope you can hear me this time.
Yes.
Okay, good. Uh, I started cosplaying at like around 2022 as well. I never really did cosplay before. I really liked Genshin Impact, and I wanted to be the characters from Genshin Impact, so I started cosplaying.
I might
And
have
now,
forgotten something because I noticed that we're missing one guest, but I'm not sure if I sent him the link to the meeting because he was the last to confirm. Um, Go on, Samuel.
I have nothing more to say. I don't know what else to say. I'm
Sorry.
just a guy.
What is your favorite cosplay?
Mm, I would say Don Funk, the one that I made myself, the one on the picture.
All right. Let's go on with theatricality in cosplay.
So hi everyone. So I started cosplaying. My first cosplay was back in 2008, but I had like big gaps in between years because of studies, working, and I've been doing cosplay on and off. I mostly do wardrobe cosplay, and I buy things that I transform them into being a cosplay. So I'm not very crafty in the sense of making my costume from scratch, but I am working with cosplayers to build up their performances for conventions and competitions. So yeah, that's about me. My favorite cosplay character, before you ask me, I would say is Ken Kaneki from Tokyo Ghoul.
When did you start teaching tips for cosplay performances?
Sorry, could you repeat because the line just went off.
When did you start teaching tips for cosplay performances?
Oh, I started 2 years ago because I am a professional actress and I love cosplay, and I've been like watching competitions, and I noticed that a lot of cosplayers, especially new cosplayers, had trouble like getting anxious being on stage. So I wanted to bring a little bit of acting into the performances, and I've had like some really good results. One of the students won the Comic Con, Cyprus Comic Con last year, got first place, and yeah, we're continuing being strong.
If you're still watching, I already sent you the link. I hope you can see your email. Here it
Bye.
is. A new challenger has appeared.
Hello.
Bye.
Hello.
Hello.
In fact, that's what I'm trying to promote here because for some reason the cosplay contests are, at least around here, are being are becoming more like um, fashion catwalks, and they don't really pay much attention to the performances.
Mm.
So last year, for the first time, I presented a workshop about acting for cosplay, and I'm looking for more organizers to give me their space so that I can repeat it and refine it.
Yeah, that's really nice because I think in cosplay generally you need to develop so many skills in wig making and makeup and crafting and 3D printing and all these kind of things. And we're kind of forgetting our presence on stage. Like you're wearing one character, but you should become the character instead of just wearing it. That's it's very important.
Yeah, that was part of my what I was saying during the workshop. I remembered a very old movie. It's not the best in the world, but it's called The Master of Disguise, and he is taught a mantra that he should repeat: uh, "Become another person, become another person." Then he gets in trouble and he's chased by the bad guys, and then he's saying, "Stop becoming another person, stop becoming another person."
Yeah.
I was letting each of the guests introduce themselves, so we're just missing uh, D.Blarg354.
Hello, this is me. Yes. Oh, right. Yeah, I should be. Hello, I do blog. I do photos. Apparently, they're good.
How long have you been attending to cosplay related events?
Oh, that is a good question. I was attending events since around 2011 because I was in sixth form, and then around my first year of university, I started going properly with like a purpose. And then around 2017 is when I picked up my first camera. Then I spent a year in Japan between 2018-19, and that's kind of why I really got into it because I was in Japan. I was like, if I don't get into photography now in one of those prettiest places in the world, I'm not really going to get into photography. And then I came back shortly afterwards, and then the Great Sickness came when we were stuck indoors. So that delayed a little bit. And then, yeah, I've kind of gone full since.
Your Guildmania says Despina is a bit modest. She also organizes and coordinates Geekmania's cosplay contests, and she does a magnificent job. We would be lost without her.
Thank you. Yeah, I do a lot of things, but thank you, Evangele.
I have a question for the cosplayers. How many of you have participated in cosplay contests, or at least being on stage?
I have.
You'll have.
several times.
What's the most outrageous thing you've done on stage?
K-pop, probably.
K-pop.
I didn't do anything outrageous, I would say. I keep my performances simple, and now I've started to make some skit-like performances. So nothing too much.
Like, besides hurting myself on stage, nothing more outrageous.
What about theatricality?
I've been on stage, but not in a competition and not as a cosplayer. I presented cosplay competitions, but I've never been a part of a competition.
Okay. Once I had a guest here who told me that the most outrageous thing she has done was being on stage because she was panicking she never got on it anymore.
Well, being on stage is quite frightening if it's your first time, especially if it's your first time. So it needs a lot of guts to do that first step. So well done to her.
In my case, I think, well, I started asking this because I noticed that recently the cosplay rules have been changing. They're adding more new rules, and some things that we used to do are not allowed anymore. Uh, One of my international guests let me know that in their countries they're starting to forbid glass objects. So I'm starting to wonder. The next time I bring out my Vault Boy from Fallout, I'm not gonna be able to bring my Nuka Cola. And in my case,
How old is that bottle of Coca-Cola?
uh, it's a real glass bottle, so it might be it might be forbidden by the rules. Then this year, in one of the contests that we had recently, I was reading the rules, and it was forbidden to jump off the stage. That brought me back to the time when I tossed a friend off the stage. Yeah, that was more or less the reaction that the audience had. By the way, I was cosplaying Mr. 47, and he had volunteered to become my victim. So I guess you know what happened next.
I just now remembered the thing I did outrageous. It was in my first year of cosplaying. Mind you, I was underage at that time, and I have been playing Grey Fallbuster from the fairy tale. Of course, I had like a chest band all over, but I took off the shirt on the stage. So that was, I think, the most outrageous thing I did on the stage. Nothing more.
Mhm. D.Blarg,
Yes.
well, I have previously some other photographer guests here, and I started noticing that many of them tend to be contortionists when they are taking their
Oh yeah.
pictures.
Yeah.
How are
Yeah.
your extreme angles?
Yeah, they did the job. Let's say that. As a guy with 100 kg, I can bend in ways that surprise even me sometimes. It's quite funny. A lot of my poses end up look like if you played Rainbow Six Siege, I end up looking poses like that half the time. Also, if you still Filthy Frank with me with the two guns in his hand, a lot of that. It's quite surprising. I think the funniest one is once was prone with my legs on like feet on a wall, and then I was half scooped up like this. The shot turned out pretty well, but I definitely was grateful I was having physiotherapy at the time for it because my back was feeling it for the rest of the day. Another one of my friends can literally go into like a spider, and he'll crouch up like this, and I'm standing there like, huh? And you see the photo, like, okay, fair enough. I know one guy who has a thing where he's really good at like shooting between like gaps between people. So like someone will do like a pose and he'll shoot through like the arm of someone to get that pose to frame it and it looks nice. It's like, but yeah, it's surprising given again I'm 100 kg and I'm a big guy. But I mean, the famous one I can do is I can almost do splits. Now like a living tripod, just stand like that. Living tripod just like that, and just get the shot.
Versa here saying, jumping in to say hi. Wanted to say, Shinzo, your props in background looks dope.
Thank you. Everything is holding on thoughts and prayers, not falling off.
As I was here in one of the previous episodes. I got a question again for the cosplayers. What's the strangest material you have used for a cosplay, or the most unusual ingredient?
Like, one of my first cosplays were made out of paper and linoleum, like the flooring material. So yeah, I was making helmets from flooring material that was like ready to be thrown out. I just like took some hot glue, some acrylic paint, and they turned out actually amazing. They held up for 5 years without breaking down and stuff like that. And recently, I started using cinnamon as rust substitute on my props. So my props smell wonderful.
I've been hearing that a lot. Makes me think I'm the only one who doesn't like cinnamon.
Oh, I hate cinnamon, but the smell is quite nice with props.
Good to know.
Also, it's really fun to like weekend before I was in convention and I was walking with my sword and like, oh, do you want to smell my sword? And it was a gag that like me and my friends like, oh, just scratch and sniff the sword.
Anyone else?
I don't remember using anything strange. I guess not. Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
There's still time.
Nobody knows what will be in the future.
I mean, I think the closest I can get to this is my weirdest lens, which is this one. It's radioactive. It's my first vintage lens, so as long as I don't lick it, I'm all good. So, no, but it actually is radioactive. Oh, and then goes the back. But it's an old radioactive lens. It's my first vintage lens. I picked it when I was living in Japan. I've used it a few times. It has like a golden hue to it. I haven't really used it enough, so it's kind of become like a desk decoration next to my judging sheet that's judging me. I'll get out. Yeah, this is. I'll get Alfred out. I got him an island. There's Alfred. He's judging me at all times. But yeah, I think that's the latest I've got. I have copied a little bit. I did Hunk from Resident Evil. I bought this, which is quite fun. So it's like that's like a legit military mask. These two are 3D printed, and that is airsoft safe. But dear goodness, it smells, and I don't like wearing it for long enough times because
So for my first cosplay, I was in the UK, and it was like a cosplay party, and I found about it very randomly, and I had like 3-4 hours to go and find stuff and put like a cosplay together. I did Soy Fong from Bleach. So I had this Arabic nightgown a friend gave me at the time, and it was like black, and it was like long, and it was very nice. So I just went starting in the town, and I found like shoelaces that I had to do my hair, and then I found like a white rope that I tidied and drew with markers on it, everything that had to be done. So I think it was maybe weirdest thing I did. Not very weird, but did the job.
Personally, I can think of credit card cutouts for my for a piece of armor that was made in vinyl, but vinyl is flexible, so it doesn't really look like an armor. So underneath, I put some expired credit card cutouts, so to give it some solidity, especially here on the hands where you bend it, and the whole thing was gonna bend if I didn't put something solid beneath it. I don't know if Samuel already answered this.
I don't have anything to say. I've only made like 2 costumes ever myself, so I just hot glue and fabric, you know.
Hopes and dreams.
Hopes and dreams.
Yeah.
Hopes and dreams.
Okay. Well, in the at the very beginning of my Instagram gallery, it was not supposed to be a cosplay gallery. In the at the very start, it was meant to be a travel blog. So that idea remained there. So I one thing I always ask in my international episodes is, what's the farthest from home that you've been in a cosplay related event?
Really not far. Like furthest I've been is from like Kaunas to Riga, and that's it. But I'm changing it this like next month. Yeah,
Mm,
we'll be moving to PeterCon, so that will be the furthest one from me.
all right.
For me, it was a couple of times Cyprus Comic Con. It's like 3,000 kilometers away from the hometown, and I was there like 4 times already. Oh yeah, Cyprus is the farthest for me.
For me, it's probably UK and Greece, which is not that far, but UK, I'm holding that.
Okay. D.Blarg354.
Sweden.
Okay.
So for myself, I would. It's kind of cheating technically, but it would be Japan. I was living at the time, so that's my defense. But I did go to like Comic Kit, TGS, WCS. If we're talking like beyond that, I was or even actually no, it would probably be like J-Zone. If we're talking about in the UK, I did once spend a weekend going all the way up to Scotland for Lady Oscar Street. That's near in a place called Bamberg. If you want to know what that is, if you know Linda's Farm, very famous in the first place the Vikings attack, I could see it across the border. Like it was there. So I lived near London, so I went all the way from there, took a 5-hour train ride, did a photo shoot at 2 o'clock in the morning to get the dawn shots, shot in a castle, and then took a train all the way back. I had highlights of that is I had 1 egg and 2 toasts because everyone else had beer in their food. I was like, I can't eat this. So that's in terms of like within the UK, but for terms of internationally, Japan, technically the house in Japan, which technically it's cheating. Beyond that, it would have been J-Zone, and I'm hoping potentially to go further this year, if not next.
Cool. In my case, I think it's been Estonia. I suppose the Animatsuri has been the farthest from home.
Yeah.
And well, before landing in Estonia, I did a connection in the UK. So on the way back, I went to the Wales Comic Con, which took place in England, but it's called Wales Comic Con.
Tokyo Game Show takes place in Shiba, so they're not the only one.
Names don't make sense anymore.
They don't. And the best part, Tokyo Disneyland is not even in Tokyo. It was 30 minutes from my house in Chiba. Like, it's in Chiba. It's not in Tokyo.
Another cosplay question. Have you ever invested in a cosplay element just for the LOLs? Just as an inside joke? Or something only the fans would recognize?
Nope.
I also actually have one thing in the work. I've ever played the original Modern Warfare 2. I have, so that's the one with like Ramirez, like the old one from 2008. I have now in my possession an original US UCP helmet and an original UCP vest. So if I ever do end up committing to that cosplay, that's gonna be fun. Be like, hey, how'd you get those? Like, it's all authentic. What do you mean? It's all authentic. The helmet is bulletproof. Like, what? I did. I'm one of those guys who will see a prop, be like, I could make a whole cosplay shoot and then reinvest into airsoft, which is my other hobby. Recycling in a whole new way. I have 6 cartons of like airsoft stuff. It's a problem. Don't get me started on the cameras. Don't. Just don't.
I like functional cosplays, but I don't think I've ever had a bulletproof costume.
I have several bulletproof helmets and several flak vests. Several flak vests.
Weren't they heavy?
Yeah, but I can carry them, and they're legit because you can feel the weight on the flak vests. I think the weirdest one I've got is, if I don't play it again, the original Modern Warfare. The SAS have these weird black helmet kind of things. I have one of those, like a legit one. And I did use the black overalls for Hunk cosplay as like the base suit, which was quite nice. It was very comfy, which was surprising given obviously it's like a jumpsuit, obviously. But it's quite comfy. No pockets though, sad bit. That's what the chest ring is for.
What about the rest of you?
Well, from time to time, I put like subliminal messaging in my cosplays. Usually, like weathering. If you see the shape or something, it can spell out things. It can like at least my initials, things like that. But the cosplay that I'm working on now, I made it like million times harder for myself, just because I realized that I can do that. So I started making my cosplay from metal. So I bought just sheet metal, and forming it, will start welding it. So my night cosplay already has like chainmail that is like 20 kilos right now. And I did everything from scratch. I was buying like steel wire, coiling it, cutting it, everything from scratch. And then I started making foam armor. Now I scrapped the foam armor, started like hammering metal, and this upcoming week we'll start welding everything together.
Is it bulletproof?
No, it's fine. He'll be safe in London. He'll be safe in London. That's what you need.
Tonight at Mythbusters, is my armor bulletproof?
Hold on. I can check for you if you like.
Yeah.
What about arrow proof?
Probably would be yes, because there will be metal armor, chainmail, and gambeson. I like getting all the layers up, I'm trying to make it it's kind of fantasy armor, but I still wanted to be as historically accurate as possible to that.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna be layered
If
like
someone attacked you with a sword, you're probably safe.
You say. Exactly. He's gonna be layered like an onion. It'd be perfect.
Wow, that's impressive. Can't
Yeah.
wait to see that
Like,
winning flag.
I still can hardly believe myself that I'm doing this, but I committed, and like I already put so much money in this cosplay that like if I'm going like to the max, I'm going to the max with it. Like,
I think by the end, when you finish the armor, you can participate in weightlifting contests as well, because it's gonna weigh the hell a lot.
funny enough, some years back I was semi-professional weightlifter, so back to my element.
Wow.
And I don't know how many of you have seen Gintama, but there's an episode that is called "If You're Gonna Cosplay, Go All Out."
Yeah.
Okay. If anything, it's also giving the vibes from Avatar of where that one scene where Aang is picking up like armor and he's just in the, like decked out in armor and he can't move. And the warrior's like, you put it on, you'd be like, oh, I'm ready. I'd be like, guys, guys, I can't move.
Funny enough, it happened to me with my like first foam armor. Like when I first built Berserker armor, I just made it without thinking too much, and then I put it on, and then I realized I cannot move in it. Like I can bend like 15 degrees, my arms cannot like connect to each other, and walking just like a penguin. So basically, like living statue.
Speaking of Berserk, there we go. Berserk love.
Yeah.
Oh, something's
The
oh,
two
no,
healers.
no! Don't do that! What have you done?
I'm offering myself.
That's not how that works.
What about Shinzo?
I don't think I did do anything that only the fandom would know. Maybe in the latest my cosplay of Marcel, I painted the book cover for her spell book, which was almost invisible because it was in the book bag. So I had to actually take the book out for anyone to see that. Also, when I did Hein from the solo leveling, only the fandom would know the part of my performance with the mouth covered, because the character is really sensitive to all the smells, and only if people who read the manhwa at that time only would know that, because it was not even aired in the anime. So those like small details, but not very big.
Maybe Samuel already heard this story last time, but I had last year I got my Link cosplay from Zelda, but I don't have a sword, and I didn't want to go empty-handed. So I decided to cook a little something. Also, in 2015, there was an event called Marvel Expo. At that time, I didn't have any Marvel characters, but I was sure there were gonna be X-Men cosplays. So the day before, I went to the mall and had a T-shirt printed with the logo of the Friends of Humanity, and then I made a cardboard sign that said "No more mutants."
Oh no.
And I was right. The place was full with X-Men cosplays.
Oh no.
That was a good one.
Smart indeed. And cheap.
Yeah.
The whole thing
Yeah.
cost me like $8.
Yeah, no. Hey, if it works, it works, right?
Mm-hmm. Uh, everybody else already answered this, right?
Hmm? I will go and say like my thing would be I made the centipede Jason used on Kaneki in Tokyo Ghoul for his torture. So I just went to a toy store and found some like little creatures. Yes, he does. Some like bug creatures, and I just kind of disimitated and just put them again together, painted them, and I had the on my ear, on my neck, prevention. It was like, yeah.
I would consider cosplaying Xavier, but most people, when I am dressed as 47, mistake me by Lex Luthor, and I despise Superman.
Much like Lex Luthor.
That's the irony.
I hate Superman. Oh, hi, Lex. I hate Superman. Maybe there's a niche there.
One thing I forgot to ask all of you now that we're talking about this, when I asked you about the farthest place you've been, um, I usually continue by asking, "What's the funniest moment that you've had while being in another country?" And this comment brought me back to when I was in Panama, and there was some dude dressed as Doctor Doom. So I couldn't see his face, but he was pointing at me. We were like 100 meters apart, but he was pointing at me. So I was dressed like this. I was just approaching to see what was going on, and then the first thing I hear from him, Lex Luthor. No.
Then you should have said, "Lex go," and shot him with the silver ballers.
This is something like that.
Yeah.
Do not destroy toys, Despina.
Never, never, I swear. Just a little bit. Just a tiny little bit. I use them. I recycle them.
Exactly. We're recycling. Cosplay is about recycling, if you think about it, guys.
Geek Mania, he's a big, big collector. He's like one of the biggest collectors in Cyprus. And that's how Geek Mania started. That's why he's telling me off. Not destroying toys.
Right now, I'm only collecting figures of my own costumes. Nothing else. What about the rest of you? What has been the funniest moment that you've had while being in another country?
I've got two which always come to mind. Or three, actually. So the first one, I think, was last year. And we'll taking the Uber back from the Dokumi kind of area back to hotels. And the Uber driver was quite chill, and he says, "Put whatever music you want." So obviously, you've got three weebs in the car. One puts on like some anime music. I obviously put on Eurobeat because I want the initial D experience. Because we're driving in a car, you want some initial. And then one person puts on I can't remember the song. It was something really stupid. It's like someone put Filthy Frank on, like one of his Filthy Frank songs, and we would just stare at him like, okay. So that was a funny one. Trying to remember another one I had. Oh, in Latvia, I went there a couple of years back, and it was the summer, and I didn't realize how hot it gets. I was like, oh, it's gonna be hot. I did not realize how hot. There was a guy who literally had two massive like fans going on, keeping everyone cool. And I said, "You're the only fan I need." And then the last one, I'm trying to think, was Japan. I went to it was like a Ubisoft convention because everyone was in Rainbow Six Siege cosplays and like everything was Ubisoft related. They got their own day there, which is quite funny. And I met someone who was actually doing a Resident Evil cosplay, which was surprising to me. And they were dressed as Tofu. So Resident Evil, there's like the character called Tofu, who's like literally a tofu with a hat. And then we realized like, oh wait, I already follow you on Twitter. And then we had this moment where you were both pointing at each other like, it's you. I'm like, yeah, it's me. And they're like, you've been following for years. I'm like, yes, I'm here now in Japan. So that was quite funny. Just like, oh, it's you. I'm like, yes, it's me. Hello. But yeah, that's my stories.
I was called Zelda when I was cosplaying Marcel from Delicious in Dungeon. And oh, hi Zelda, and I'm like, nope, not this character.
I can see that.
I think we were shooting, and someone approached and told, "Oh, hey, look, that's Zelda," and I'm like, nope.
Like the typical case of the Rosalina cosplayer who's mistaken by Elsa. And so many more examples.
I probably have like two things that come up. One is like when I was cosplaying Traveler from Game Journey, and like all the flowy, like everything fun, and like it was extremely fun when like older generation people were like, oh no way, this is like cosplay from Journey and stuff like that. Really fun. But all the kids were like, oh, it's a caster minion from League of Legends. And and I heard it so many times, and it hurt the same amount every single time. And other thing, like the other thing was I was resting, and one like person came up to me and said like, oh, I would like to have a photo. And I was like, oh, okay, wait a minute, I will put on my props and we can take a photo. And they're like, no, I want you to take a photo with with me, with the other cosplayer. And I'm like, oh. And this still keeps me awake at night because it's like the same thing, like someone is waving, but they're waving a person that is behind you. And I still cannot go living my life peacefully.
I don't know if Samuel already told us what the funniest moment he had in Sweden was.
I don't remember anymore. I haven't traveled in a while, so I haven't really had any fun. I'm going to Lithuania next week, so maybe I will have some new fun stories.
I'll see you there.
You're going to Comic-Con Baltics too?
Yes, I am.
Oh yeah.
It's quite funny. I'm not going to London, and I was like, "Are you going to London?" Look, no, I'm not going to London. Why? Comic-Con Baltics.
Yeah. It's my first time gonna be there, so I'm excited.
I'm excited too. My first time too. The funny part is I arrive literally midday. I have like a long wait. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna like literally just bolt it straight to the con. I'm gonna go to the hotel and go straight to the con. So you might see me stuck in the trees. Like, what's he here? I'm in the trees with my suitcase. Like, hey, father.
Yeah, we're going on the. We're arriving like early Friday, I think. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm working on Friday. That's the only reason I can't do the Friday. So I'm literally taking the first flight out back at 7, arriving at 12, and I'm going to be like, Uber to the concert, or Bolt to the concert. You're like, you're not going to go to the hotel? No, cool.
convention now.
Literally, I come for the convention, I leave for the convention. I go now. See, that's my
Last
plan.
episode, I was persuaded to go to the Comic Con Baltics. Then I remember that I had realized that British Airways doesn't make any flights here in May. British Airways only exists here between October and March. So that's the only time I can travel.
Oh,
And why only British Airways? Because I have a voucher that I need to use before it expires.
Uh,
But yeah, I don't know the reason.
honestly, I live next to one of the biggest airports in the world, and I barely use this airport. It's quite funny. Like, I grew up with this airport flying above me. Like, we were told like the plane would be 90 seconds, so we were having lessons like PE and stuff, and the teacher would wait for the plane to fly by and time his speaks and intros into that.
Mm.
And I've only flown to the airport 3 times and flown to BA twice in my entire life, which is jarring to me given how much I've traveled.
I live near airport too. The
Yeah.
plane's literally flying above my house. But I'm choosing more to travel by car than by plane. Unless it's Cyprus, of course.
Yeah. You go by boat.
I would rather than spend like 3.5 hours in the airplane.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, Shinzo, I presume that you like Cyprus?
Yes, I actually do come back every year there. I'm also planning to go to the Comic Con Cyprus, which will be in October.
Mm. I hope to see you there. Let's keep in touch.
Yeah, sure.
And you too, Blarg.
Yes.
And of course, all of you.
Everyone here. Or else.
Or
I'm too
else.
broke.
What?
Despina, did you already tell us the funniest moment you had in another country?
I don't really have any funny moments. The only thing I can think about is when I went to a cosplay party in the UK, and I didn't want to go alone, so I dragged 2 of my friends with me, but they didn't really watch any anime or played any games. Like, I mean, they were just like totally out of it. So I was just like there having fun, speaking with other people, and they were just like sitting there, and they just left at some point, and they said, "Okay, we'll see you at home." So I had to go back home alone. But I think that's not funny. It's just like an experience I had.
Mhm.
Mm.
Maybe it's not funny, but every time I go to the European Union, I feel fascinated when I'm crossing a border and there's no one there to ask me for my passport or to charge me departure taxes. I just cross the line and continue my way as if nothing had happened.
I didn't know that was a thing other countries had before.
No country in America will let you cross any border without at least sending the dogs and checking your luggage.
That's wild. To me, I can just like walk across the border and like go to the alcohol store and come back, and it's fine.
They say, I live in Germany. I'm gonna go to the Netherlands and have lunch. I'll be back in 2 hours.
Yeah, yeah. It's
That's
normal.
something we do not have.
I do have some friends who are living in Poland, but near to the Czech border, and they literally go by foot to the Czech to drink beer at the evening and then go back home.
Yeah.
I
We
live
do that
on
here
an
with
island,
Latvia.
so- Sorry. Like I live on an island, so I don't really have the chance to go to any other countries unless I go by plane or swimming. So,
How long does it take to swim to the closest country?
the closest country is Turkey. I don't know how long it takes to swim there, but there are stories from my grandparents that if you go to the closest point of Cyprus to Turkey and land, you can hear the roosters from the other side of the from Turkey. But I don't know if that's true or just like it's something they were saying since we're young. But
That's
it
cool
takes
though.
a long time to swim there.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can think of another moment I had. The first time I went to Germany, I was cosplaying Falco from Super Smash Bros. So again, I was completely covered. No one could see my face. But there were some Japanese tourists taking pictures there. And at some point, one of them approaches me. You could tell he was struggling to speak German to me. He could only say like three words. He was like, "Kann Foto zusammen." I, with that, I understood he wanted a picture together, so I just nodded. And we were posing next to each other. While we were posing to the camera, I asked him in Japanese, "Nihonjin desu ka?" And the three of them in unison responded to me in German. Ja, Japanisch. Dankeschön.
It's not cosplay related, but it's a bit funny, which is similar to Japan. I can tell that story as well if you like. I think you might like it.
Go ahead.
Okay, so when I was in Japan, that's when I got into airsoft, and I got to my first game, and it was me and my American friend who'd been in Japan for about 5 years, so was basically fluent compared to me. Even today, going yes. And so in Japan, they also cosplay doing airsoft, so you'll see people with like different outfits inspired by different kind of context. I saw someone once with a Gurren Lagann jacket. I saw one guy dressed as like Gundams, which is quite funny. But there were these 5 guys who were just as Arab sheikhs with golden AKs and like golden weapons. I turned to an American friend and go, I'm gonna really mess with them. So I go, Assalamu alaikum, TikTok off, now speaking Arabic. They're like, Nihongo only, Nihongo only. Okay, let me teach you. So I taught them some swear words, which I won't repeat because of streaming. And then they go into the next round, shooting rounds into the sky, say Kami Sugoi, and there is other swear words. And they go run in and die instantly. I turn to my American friend and says, aren't cultural changes just wonderful? It was just quite funny just to see this. And I'm talking like imagine like, you know, like Call of Duty, like the golden AKs and golden like SVDs and RPKMs. It was really funny to see this like. But yes, it was quite wonderful to see that.
In the very first episodes of this show, I had a lot of yes/no questions. So if the answer was no, that was the end of it. So I was given a suggestion to put together a lot of yes/no questions. I got like 10 here. The first one would be, can you use a sewing machine?
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Most of you.
Yes.
My sewing machine is this one. I can fix a pair of socks if you want. That's about it. I can also sew buttons manually. Question 2 says, have you made armors?
Have I made armor?
Hell yeah.
Never.
Never. I made one, never again.
I've never even worked with EVA foam before, so.
My work on my armor gauntlet.
What's it made of?
Yeah, metal. All metal.
That's
This
pretty
is
well,
for the project I'm working on now.
Mm-hmm. He has not only made armors, but actual armors.
Full Metal Alchemist.
Indeed. What are you gonna show us?
I have plenty of armors all around me. Love them.
How much does that helmet weigh?
Oh, it's like from EVA, so it's like a couple 100 grams maybe.
Okay.
It's like really light.
Question 3 says, do you like acting?
What?
Question 3 says, do you like acting?
Yeah.
Yes.
50-50.
50-50.
I wish I could be better at it.
It takes
Like
practice.
the hardest part of cosplaying is like putting on the act and stuff like that.
Now that is my favorite part. I might not have made a lot of armors, but if you ask me about acting, we may be here all day long. Question 4 says, have you used your own hair for cosplay?
Yes.
At the very beginning, yes.
Yeah.
All of us have. In fact, there's a character that I can hardly make because the rest of my characters have a clean shaved face. And Lord Sheogorath has a beard. So it's a very rare occasion when I'm able to take him out somewhere. Theatricality in Cosplay does online courses. Wink, wink.
Oh my god, thank you, Evangelos. Yeah, thank you. I do online classes for anyone who's interested.
For those interested in becoming better at it.
Yeah, I've worked with cosplayers from the UK, from USA, and Greece and Cyprus. So we're open. Well,
We also have a cosplay studio here that we're working on making into like a thing where people can come together and learn and like craft and do stuff. And so it's called the Cosest Studio, and like we just opened our very first like studio space too, so that's really exciting.
wow, that's nice. And what kind of things do you do in the studio? Like,
We have like a dance rehearsal hall with like mirrors, and then we have like a crafting room with like sewing machines and like any tool and material that you want. We plan to get like a 3D printer too one day, so it's like really exciting.
oh, that's really amazing. Nice.
Yeah.
It is.
I also make fursuits, so it's basically also a fursuit making place now. So.
Yeah, I mean, not everyone has space in their living place to create and craft. So it's really important for cosplayers to have a place where they can go and rehearse.
It's like an even bigger issue here because everyone lives in like a Soviet era apartments that have like no room in here. So everyone needs a space to go to. So what we're doing is like really really nice, I think.
Send me more
That's
info when you
fascinating.
have like website or whatever of the space from you up.
Uh,
Yeah, what?
we are in a well, I am in a WhatsApp group with a lot of cosplayers from around here, and well, we have one that is well known for her crafting videos. She constantly keeps uploading crafting tips on YouTube, but then she referred us to some Instagram post for it was like a not like a collaboration, but some activity in which you could upload a reel or a video, and then it would be shared by that account. And that account in specific was skit focused. So I started checking it out, and at some point I went rabbit holing, and that's how I ended up knowing the existence of theatricality in cosplay. That's why I decided to invite her because that's my area, and I feel motivated when I find cosplayers who are into the acting part because we're lacking that in these
Mm,
parts.
thank you.
That's why I was fascinated when I went to the Burning Pumpkin Fest, and they had a specific prize for the best performance, and they had even a second category to just go on the stage, show off your cosplay, and that was it, with no prejudging or no one interrogating. Did you make this, or someone else did it for you?
Yeah, here like the cosplay world is very different in the Baltics than it is in like the rest of the world. Like here we have two categories, like craftsmanship and like performance, basically. But it depends in what con you go to. But in one of the like Burning Pumpkin Fest, if you do a performance, you do not have a prejudge, so you just go on stage and you do a really good skit, and they judge you on the skit, basically.
Hmm.
And then in other countries, even if you do make the costume yourself, like in Riga, Unicron, they also prejudge you, but they also judge you on the skit. So it's like you don't have to make a good costume if the skit is really good, basically. So I really like this, and like I wish more countries did that because it's like an only Baltics thing I noticed. Like everyone just goes on stage and shows off their costume and gets off. But like, where's the fun? Where's the acting? Where's the skits? I need to see like a story, anything, and like
I have a
and like
Danish friend who was on this show as well, and he said the exact same thing. Where's the fun in that?
yeah.
Like as Evangelos mentioned before, I organize cosplay competitions for the Geek Mania events. So that's one thing that we incorporated in our competitions as well. For the past, I think, two events, if I'm not mistaken, to have special prizes for details or for the performance of the cosplayers on stage, apart from prejudging and craft making and everything. Because some people might be really good at the performance, or some are more detail orientated. So it's really nice for the cosplayers to receive a small prize, like an acknowledgement of what they did on stage, and they're being there and having fun and being the character itself on stage.
I agree. Hmm. Did we lose her?
Maybe.
She'll be back. Well, let's hope she's back. For in the meantime, I'm gonna continue with question number 5. If a ninja falls off a tree and there's no one around to hear it, does it still make a sound?
Yes.
Yes.
Logically, yes.
I hope so.
Wow.
Because physics. We lost her.
I mean, if he dies, he still makes a sound. If he falls, he makes a sound. I mean, definitely a sound is made.
All right, we got consensus here. Gilvania says one thing that Despina suggested is one sort of competition for junior cosplayers, people who don't have the skill set or budget to do grand stuff. Budget. We have an organization, it's not new, but they're new at Cosplay. They're trying to do something similar next month. We're gonna see how it goes. Yeah, budget. We got that. They only said there's an amateur category, but there aren't really any restrictions, and she's back. I don't know how long ago we had lost you. Where were we? In any case, I was continuing with question 5. I had asked, if a ninja falls off a tree and there's no one around to hear it, does he still make a sound? Most of the people here said yes already. Seems like she's not hearing us. All right. Question 6 says, if I own 2 pink giraffes, will I be forced to take harmonica lessons?
It's the second time hearing it, and I still don't understand what you mean with that.
Blind Dog, thanks for joining the hunt for deer feathers. That is a very classical question. That's okay. I got some message on the chat. My internet is acting up. Pun intended. All right. Let's see if she's back soon enough. Yeah, that is a very classical question I did on the very first, since the very first episode when this show was offline, when I did my interviews presentially during the events. At some point, I end up asking the cosplayer, "Can you tell me the price of 1 kilogram of deer feathers?" And I will believe anything the person tells me. I'm not gonna argue with their answer. So if they give me a number, I'll believe that number. If they here she is back again. Can you hear us now? Apparently not. I'm gonna type in here on the chat. Okay, it seems like she's still not able to hear us. Seems like she changed her camera, right? She looks different now. You can see us, but no sound. Hmm. Who knows what happened? Well, she already told us what happened. Her internet is acting up. All right. Well, let's hope she fixes this. Next question would be: have you ever been interviewed by a cosplayer other than me?
I don't think so.
Nope.
Nope. Usually, I get a positive answer like, "Oh yeah, this guy has interviewed me." So it's back to the original time when I ended up being the first to interview each of you. Um, the last question of this list says: have you ever encountered someone dressed as the same character as you?
Yes, many times.
Yeah.
I wish I would.
You wish.
I wish, like, I cosplay such niche characters usually, and I would love to meet someone that would do the same character as me.
How did it go for the rest of you when you saw your mirror match?
They're always too awkward, so nothing.
I think we usually just waved to each other
Yeah.
because I don't know, not many people did approach and was like, "Oh, hi, I'm this character too." Like from a distance, like, "Hi." That's all.
Yeah, maybe in my case, it was because I found them before the Spider-Man meme, so we didn't do that. Uh, we have obviously taken pictures together, and there was one time when I thought I was the only 60s Batman around there, but then I saw another guy with another cosplay of the same Batman West. He was busy. He was talking to someone, but I was just approaching him and I patted him on the back and I just said, "Picture with Batman." Then he turns around and he's like, "Oh yeah, oh." So we did the Batusi together. That was pretty much it. So yeah, now that I'm reading the comments on the chat by Theatricality, we're already beyond 1 hour of transmission. Um, so I'm not gonna abuse of your time. I'm gonna put an end to the transmission on Twitch. But if any of you want or can remain here, you don't need to do anything. I'm just gonna cut the show. So if you, as I always say, in everything is relative except that which is absolute. In that case, it'll be absolutely relative. Um, do me a favor and be happy.